Welcome back everybody to my channel. We are not alone, and here we are today in our t-shirts. You are not alone, and as you can see today I'm not alone. But before I get into that, I just want to say thank you guys so much for subscribing, for liking, for sharing, for leaving beautiful comments as well. Thank you so much. And for those that haven't subscribed, please click the button below, subscribe, like, share. What are you doing?
I'm telling them to like also.
Okay. Subscribe, share, like, do whatever you want to do. So yes, thank you so much guys for those that have subscribed. So as you can see here, I'm with a special lady. This is my BFF. You know, people still, I don't know if people still do BFF stuff, but we still do. Hey,
yeah,
we still do. So this is my friend, guys, and many of you that know me, there's no way you know Mraro and you don't know Zama. There's no, and those that know Zama know Mraro.
yes.
So yeah, so I'm here with my best friend, and we're gonna shoot a special video, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. But before we get into that, so I'll ask her to just introduce herself.
Thank you, Mbuyane, for having me. Just like Mraro has said, my name is Zamo, Mraro's friend. But yes, my name is Zamo. My surname is Mbuyane. I love the Lord. And that's where we met, in loving God. Back then when we were musicians, hot musicians.
Yeah, I was a musician, my friend.
Yeah. We were musicians and backing vocals for a very powerful team. Story for another day. But anyway, we love God. We've been friends, and God has really helped and has been very instrumental in bringing us together in the pursuit of ministry. Above all else, above everything else that we do, we love each other, you know, and I think a lot of times when people see us, they think, okay, powerful women of God. When we get off stage, we're just friends that go through normal things that friends go through, that fight sometimes, that make up, you know.
So
that
you were supposed to introduce yourself.
Oh, yes.
About our friendship.
Okay, my name is Zam, and I love the Lord.
And she's a pastor's wife.
Yes, I'm a pastor's wife, and
Mom Rukti vibes.
And I also run some other ministries on the side.
And we have a ministry together.
We do have a ministry together. We've co-founded I Women Foundations. And yes, we'll still be hearing more about it in the future. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
And you have a foundation.
I also have a foundation. Lord, it's a lot. Yes, but I also have a foundation called His Wife Conversations that I also do on the side. You'll also be hearing about that a lot in the future.
Yes.
But for now, yes. I'm so glad to be at the Yana Conversations Lounge today. And yes, I hope whatever it is that we're going to share today will be a blessing to you.
Amen. All right, we are going to start with the business of the day. So, guys, so we've decided, we actually, a couple of weeks ago, we hosted a few ladies, and we were just talking about, you know, the things we would tell our younger selves, you know, and she was doing that. Actually, that was her part in the whole program, and she did it so well. I was like, I need that on my channel. We are going to have that conversation, so you're going to be hearing more from her than me. So I'm just going to be the support and ask questions where I have questions, make a few comments there and there, but ultimately we'll be hearing from my friend here sitting here. So we're going to discuss five things that we will tell our younger selves, and we're going to try and run through them quickly so that we don't take up too much of your time. So we're going to discuss 5 things, and those 5 things are relationships and sex. And number 2, we're going to talk about money. Number 3, we're going to talk about friendships. Number 4, we're going to talk about your relationship with God. And number 5, life in general. So yeah, where do you want to start?
Let's start with relationships and sex.
Yeah. What would you tell your younger self?
Okay, yes. When we discussed the topics this morning, when I actually sent you a message, I went, woo, Mngani, like literally.
Yeah.
Because whenever I think about relationships, I was born and raised in a Christian family. Yeah. So I never thought this topic of relationships and sex was never a topic that was on the table for us to discuss.
Yeah.
Back in high school, I guess what is my relationships, umjolo.
Wow.
And well, yeah, so umjolo holding ngoba.
What do you mean umjolo holy?
We were not able to speak about it to everyone.
Why call it holy?
In the sense that I'm sure we were joining with boys from church. Like, I know it's wrong, but yeah. But I'm saying that it was something that we never got to discuss with we were never really orientated into what is the life of dating.
Yeah.
We could see people getting married, and it was forbidden.
It was a taboo to talk about.
Yeah, and it was forbidden. And I remember in the church that I grew up in back home, Beskipana, when we were teenagers, we would have a service last Kipaba July, and everybody would be like, "You're gonna get a hiding, and it's gonna be reported to your parents when we are jola," you know. But it was happening. The truth is, it was happening, and it was mostly out of peer pressure. Ngoba we wanted to experience what everybody else was experiencing in high school. So we made a lot of mistakes at that time. And going into tertiary now, they have a new name for it. It's no longer mujolo. It's now courtship. Serious.
But isn't courtship for
people who are getting
that are dating to get married?
Yes. But we didn't know. We are courtshipping. I'm just drawing off and what's Sunday. Yeah, so we are courtshipping.
Yeah.
And I think looking back, I would tell my younger self to, number one, I would probably go back and ask more questions about the subject, because I think a lot of it that we got into was out of peer pressure. And it was out of a place of we want to experience this. And we were not really properly guided, you know, like probably teenagers today that would have an open conversation with their parents to say, I have a boyfriend. And then have the conversation to say, what do you mean when you say you've got a boyfriend? How far? And be able to be given the directives, and to be able to be given an opportunity to learn at an earlier stage to set healthy boundaries for yourself. So most of the sex that happened, I'm speaking in general, not only for me, but most of the sex that happened, especially for girls that are brought up in the house of the Lord and are saved, was oops. I didn't even expect it. I was not planning for it. And thus it ended up in probably unwanted pregnancy that probably led to abortion, or later led to other things that nobody knew about. So I would say, first and foremost, going back, I would probably ask more questions. Why is it Joel? Like, why didn't and probably get more clarity, because even though our parents meant well, and the teachings that they brought some light and shaped who we are today, most of the mistakes that we did outside of their faces. So emehlweni abasitoli, you know, we're good girls, mara behind siyajola and asazi nokusenzani, you know. So I would say let's clarify the process, and don't do it out of peer pressure. Find out what are you doing. And Mrs. Kuluma, like you were saying, courtship. The word courtship means we are preparing to get married. Marathon like first year varsity, quarter in, like you know. But we gave it our all, and personally, you know, you would cry tears for this particular guy. So I would say restrict. Keep yourself. That's very important going to the sex topic.
No, wait, before you go into the sex topic. So for me, like, what I would tell my younger self regarding relationships, I would tell me not to get into it. Because I feel like for me, I robbed my future in terms of pursuing who Mraro is, and pursuing maybe, you know, a career and pursuing education. You know, I feel like I robbed myself of that opportunity because maybe I was more focused on, I want to get married, I want to do this, you know. So for me, I think I would tell my younger self, girl, go to school, you know, build yourself up, build your career, because I'm only studying now. And it's not easy, you know, to do it now. It's not easy to do it now. I'm a married woman. I have a husband. I'm a full-time employee as well, you know. So life will catch up with you, especially when you've got big aspirations and dreams, you know. It will catch up with you, and it's not easy doing it now. So for me, I think I would tell my younger self, "Hi, girl, relax." And man, you'll get him later.
Yes,
You know?
I totally
So
agree.
I would. So you were gonna go into sex?
Yes, just before I go into sex.
Yeah.
I remember when we were growing up, but some fun about fail son. Like they were so right, guys.
What does that mean?
Boys will make you fail at school.
Oh.
You know, they would say, "You're gonna never find about fail." It's so true. And not in the sense that you are explaining it now. You might not fail at school, but you will be delayed because this relationship consumes you.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that you will now begin to shape your life around this particular relationship. Let's say there was a time when I wanted to, after finishing nursing, I wanted to go to Saudi, but I had a serious boyfriend. I'm like, Saudi is not an option. You know,
leave my boyfriend behind.
Like,
where's my boyfriend, my friend?
Yes, but yes, what they were saying is true. By a failure,
I didn't marry you, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
You
I did. My friends today that went to Saudi are driving big cars. Big. Can you imagine? And here am I.
Please tell your kids to stop dating.
So I agree with you 100%, Nani. I would say don't get into a relationship. It's okay not to be in a relationship. Yeah. It's okay to be single and completely single. Not in the sense that you are single because you are not married, but there are some other things that are happening. There are some relationships. It's okay to be single and do you. Yeah. You know, I think that's the beauty of being single, and that's the beauty of being young. You are able to pursue life in its fullest. Yeah. And you are able to do things without any restrictions. Now, when you have to think about studying, there are so many things that come before you. Now, when you have to
responsibilities
think,
as well, because
Now, when you have to think about traveling, you're like, okay, how does the budget fit? But back then, when you were young and had no responsibility, so I would say what we were taught back then in our old traditional and churches was true, even though it was not brought up in a way, it was not brought up in a way that we understood it. But they were trying to say, chill. Indaba yabafana ikhona uzohlangana naye and then
you'll get it later.
You will get it later.
Friend, we need to move.
Yes, please.
Sex.
Safe. Zip it. Run.
Safe. What do you mean?
Save yourself.
Oh, save.
Save yourself. Zip your jeans. Balega ngenyawo zombili kwasho intombazane ehlabelelayo. Yo, it's not just sex, guys. Yo, it's hectic. It's entanglement.
It comes with a lot.
Entanglement. It comes with a lot. It's not just sex. There are so many things. I say this openly. So many things that we fight now as married women. Battles that we fight that could have been avoided had we stayed away. Yeah. You know. So when we are taught to stay away, like really stay away, God had a purpose. You know, there's a verse that they say, I can only say it in Zulu, sadly. Okay. It says, "Ngiyancenga amadodana namadodakazi aseJerusalem ukuthi ningaluvusa uthando isikhathi singakafiki." It says, "Do not awaken the passion of love before its time." Jehova bekazi ukuthi once you awaken, zizobuya. So I think I would say save it for the man who deserves it. To think the sacrifice you would have made to give it to someone ongabhatalanga nge-R2. And now if you've left that relationship spiritually, physically, there are so many repercussions that you will fight. And sadly, they come upon, or you are now going to fight them with the person who has chosen to be with you for life. So thank God that God brings great men into our lives, and thank God for His grace that He forgives us. But the repercussions of the deeds that we had gone through in our earlier years, we still fight those battles.
You actually, like, when you engage in sex before marriage, you actually steal from your future. You steal that excitement that you're supposed to have when you get married, and you start enjoying it at the wrong time. So by the time you get there, where's the enjoyment? At what cost? At what cost?
You know, sometimes it's the room is even borrowed from a friend, like Nizanecheriam. And now
it's not worth it when you think about it. How could he do that?
Yeah, sometimes when we think about it, I'm like, Lord, where were you? Why didn't you just slap us? He was there, but we were not listening. Yeah. And somebody's flat, you're like going. And God is saying, you're so precious. There's a man who deserves you, who is going to actually go to your mother and sit in a dining room and pay money to be able to access that holy ground. And when you just give it. So I would tell my younger self, zip it, ntombi. Like, balega, keep it. It's okay. No more than 30, yet being a virgin, it's fine. And there's nothing wrong with you. You know, the time will come with the right person, and you will enjoy it.
No, I think for me, I think it goes to the topic that we're gonna discuss, like the friendships as well. You know that, because for me, when I lost my virginity, I'm not blaming it on the people around me, but I know there was a lot of influence, you know, with the people I was hanging around with, you know, who were actively doing it, and we would talk about it so open. Like, it's like, now when I think about it, I'm like, how could we talk about sex before marriage so casually and be okay with it, and be okay as children of God? You know, I'm not talking about people that don't know the Lord, but as children of God, you know, like, it's such a disgrace to the name of God.
It is, and I think the enemy puts us in such relationships or in such spaces. Like the dumb things we said when we were young. God, it means something that is white and white does not make each other dead. So if the brother is white and is saved, now you are saved.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and like you're saying, friends would discuss it, and would leave you with such an anticipation. I can't wait, you know, to experience it. So the topic we're going through now is very important.
Yeah.
The friends you keep. And this is something my mom said when I was so young. She said, I used to have a lot of friends, like a lot. School holidays, I would take this friend home. Next school holidays, blower, and you know, our parents knew what kind of an influence a friend would be, even if you didn't see them. And you would hear them say, "Angimfunu ubanban," and you'd be like, "Kinda kungamfuni," you know. But one day she said to me, when we were arguing about this particular friend of mine that she did not want, she said, "Angimfuni, ngihlangene naye ngabafana 1 2 3 4 5," and then she said to me, one day you will understand that the definition of a friend changes over time, and it does.
Are we now talking about friendship?
Yes, we are. Okay. Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. The definition of a friend will change over time, and trust me,
it has.
I have seen it. It has changed over time. The person I considered a friend in high school, like we ran out of a conversation. Ninjani, siyaphila, nikuphi, and you realize that the definition of a friend changed here. This person used to be my bosom, used to be my person that I, you know. But as you discover yourself, as you grow, and especially as you discover yourself in the Lord, you realize that your time is precious, and your space is precious. Who you bring into your space should bring value, you know. And there are certain friendships that will fall off because of God's purpose on your life, and there are certain friendships that God will bring because of that purpose. So I have learned that the definition of a friend will change over time.
So you know, like in relationships, they talk about the different languages of love, right?
Yes.
Like what speaks to you as a wife or as a husband, right? Yes. So I want to ask you that, like, what was I saying?
Language of love.
What's your language of friendship? Because I know, like, it differs from person to person. Okay. So what's your language of friendship?
Let me start with yours.
You want to start with mine?
Your language of love in friendship, yes. Yeah. Then I'll go back to me. And I think your language of love...
You better get it right.
I am going to get it right. So has taught me to actually be aware of it. I have a language. Okay. Your language of love in friendship is presence.
Oh, that's why you're my best friend.
Yeah, presence.
Yeah.
Yes. So through that, you know, through our growth in our friendship, I learned that. Yeah. And it actually got me to a place of, I began to ask myself, what is my language of love in friendship? And I learned that my language of love in friendship is loyalty. Yeah. I think with everything that God has placed in my life and what God has done through me so far and what I perceive God doing. I need people around me that I can be able to offload and trust that I'm at a loyal and safe place, you know.
Yeah.
So yes, that speaks to me. It speaks a mouthful to me.
Yeah.
And the other things come and go, you know. And I think we've spoken about this in the past, that true friendship is costly.
It's very
you can't
emotionally.
You can't have 50 of them. But you must call. You must come. You must go. She can't just say, hey, I have a baby shower, and you're like, don't rock up. You know?
But it's okay not to rock up.
It's okay not to rock up. But explain that my friend, I you know, but I'm trying to say that at times it will cost money as well.
Yeah,
you can't just be the receiver. You know, you can't just be, it's Zamo's wedding, I'm going. But when it's Mlalo's wedding, no, we have a do with hubby. I can't really come. You know, you can't. Such things. You must be willing to invest in each other. It must be based on mutual understanding, mutual respect, mutual values. I don't believe that there are such friendships that are forever smooth sailing, because like any other relationship, we need to learn what makes the other person tick. So there are certain times where you are supposed to say, Mgani, I did not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we must be in a safe place that I'm able to recognize that.
I think as friends, as much as, you know, even in relationships, we need to be able to create that space where I can really be honest with you about how I feel about stuff, without being afraid that you are not gonna receive it well, you're not gonna you're gonna be offended and whatever. I think we need, as friends, we need to be able to have that space. And you know, for me, like with friendships, I'm big on communication. I'm big, what you mentioned, like presence. I'm big on communication, and let's talk. If you're hurt, or if you misunderstood, or if I unintentionally hurt your feelings, let's talk about it. Because I was talking to a friend actually this morning that for me, I value our friendship more than what has happened. So for me, I'd rather say, my friend,
let's talk about
1, 2, 3, because I value what we have more than what has happened. So I'd rather come and tell you how I feel, hoping that you will also receive it and understand where I'm coming from. So telling my younger self when it comes to friendships,
without any pretense. I think if I say there are acquaintances, people that you know, people at work. But once we say you are a friend, I must be able to take off the mask. I must be able to say, Shimgan, 1, 2, 3, you know. But when it's full of pretense and I need to be in a certain posture to fit in with you, you know what I mean? I need to ride in a certain class to be able to fit in with you. Then let's not call it friendship.
For me, let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's be real about who we are. Let's be real about where we are in life currently. Do you understand what I mean? So to support what you were saying, that let's not try and be what we are not.
Exactly.
Because we're trying to please one another, you know, or create a certain impression, you know, but let's be ourselves in a friendship.
I'm actually reminded of a friend of mine who said we need to be in a place where we are able to define relationships and be okay with letting some of them go. And I think that goes for friendship as well. I must be able to define, does this work for me? Is it adding value to my life? And if not, you know, I must not want to hold on to it unnecessarily, you know, because at times then I get hurt. Let's say I strive to communicate your friendship language with all my might, but I see that you are not working towards communicating my language to me. So in a nutshell, I would tell my younger self that friendship is costly. Work on it, and if God brings by good friends in your life, they are the most precious thing ever. So work hard to keep those valuable relationships.
Okay, we're gonna move on to money.
Money.
What would you tell your younger self regarding money?
Okay, but hey, about money, I would say you need to learn to use money wisely from a young age. I will also go back to how you were raised. Isn't it? Family is the first center in which we are socialized. So sifunda ukusebenzisa imali ekhaya. And well, I was raised in a very strict family. My mom did the budget.
Why are you talking in the high voice?
No, I'm just getting there. Just trying to say this is serious.
Yeah.
My mom did the budget.
Yeah.
And she taught us from a young age, sebenzisani imali kahle, save, even when it comes to how we use things around the house, do not waste and whatnot. So I did nursing. I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
First day I got paid. I'm sure it was 3.6 back then.
Yeah.
I felt like it's a lot of money. I'm like, what is yenzeni le so? And before I left to go and do nursing, my mom had warned me. She said, don't stay away from clothing accounts, things like that. She had warned me about money. And looking back, we got spending money, like that you get to spend at school. Carry. Allowance. What will you carry that time? It's allowance today. Yeah. So we got carry, And she would always say, save a little bit of it. But it's money is a habit that you need to learn because it also affects where you go in life. So when I started working, I had clothing accounts, literally the entire church street. I'm telling you the truth. You know this. Literally, Edgar's. Church Street in town. Legit. And in a very short space of time, because when I started working, my mom paid my flat for a couple of months. She didn't know that I was getting paid.
You lied.
She didn't know. I didn't really tell, but yeah. When she found out, she's like, "What? I've been paying your flat for 3 months, and you're getting paid." So it was an instant cut. And at that time, I've already opened accounts, so I had to learn the hard way to manage money. When I got married, my husband hates debts up to this day. Hates. First, before we were preparing for the wedding, he said, sort out your mess. Like that December, I had to pay off things. And I later became a fraud victim because I was in so much debt. I don't even know where did the people get my stuff, But I was telling my mom actually yesterday, I read somewhere where somebody had written that we all owe our parents an apology for not believing them when they said they didn't have money on payday. So I had sent her that video, that picture, and I said, when I look at this, I remember. But through the grace of God, God helped me, to get out of it. But I would say start saving at a young age. Money is a currency. Money is a life. Money is when we bring it into the house of the Lord, it's no longer money, but it's an offering. So learn at an earlier stage to budget, to save, to live within your means. Live within your means. And to know you can't spend everything at once. Just because you got paid today does not mean finally pay there's still the rest of the month that you need. So I had to learn, and it took me quite a long time to clear up those things that I had gotten myself into. But eventually I did by the help of God. So by now, I tell them, use your money. I have my sister's eldest daughter who used to live with us. She's very money savvy, and I'm so grateful that at her age, when you say give her money, you will ask her about it in 3 months. She'll be saying, that money you gave me, I saved it. Great. So yeah, I would have learned that lesson. And you?
I think for me, growing up, we never really had discussions about money, like in my family. I would never. I think the only discussion we ever had was tithe.
Amen. Oh yes,
and that's the discussion we had at home. Because even now, my younger sisters know. Even the ones that are not working, whatever money you get, you take out your 10%. So that's the most valuable lesson that I got from my parents. But in terms of saving, I was never a saver. My relationship with money was very, very bad. I was never a saver. Only when I got married, honestly speaking. you know. And I mean, when I met my husband, I had been working for years, but I didn't have proper savings in place, you know, and I met him, and just like your husband, he's so against debt. Like if I tell you now, we have no debt in the house because of him. So I had to learn to save, and I'm saving proudly now. Like I look at my mom, oh, girls, that's your car. You know, I'm so happy, and not because I have a lot, but because I'm learning that we don't have to spend. Because I spend with some people, you know, we go shopping and we spend, but we always say that at least spend after. Pay yourself first, and paying yourself means also saving. You know, pay yourself first, and then because sometimes we want to spend before we save, and then at the end of the day we have nothing to save. So I think for me, I would tell my younger self. And I had a friend, my friend Rufuna. Rufuna has been very good with money from a young age. I remember she would save. She would the post office had they had some accounts, and she would save, but I would never learn. Like I remember that girl would save money. She would tell me, I've got 250, I'm gonna save it in my post office, whatever. Girl, I never learned. Only hubby came along, and that's when I started saving. But growing up, honestly, my relationship with money was bad. The only good thing I did was tithe.
Yes, and I want to echo on the tithe subject that you've brought up. Saved as I was, as church going and loving God and everything. Tithe was such a struggle. Like for the longest time. And my mom would always say, Isaklula, uhola 3,000. She would say, you know, it's that now, you know. But when my husband came, I'm like, it's a non-negotiable. Like, no. What needs to go to the Lord must go to the Lord. So I'm grateful for that, because in winter seasons of life, I've seen the hand of the Lord. I know we don't use tithe as a baiting mechanism, but it really, in the sense where the word of God says, God will rebuke the devourer on your behalf. I've seen that personally in my life, and through being faithful, but I learned it when I learned to be faithful to it consistently when I got married.
No, I think I want, before we close this subject, I just want to share this. So I went to visit the church, and the pastor there was talking about tithe, and he said, you know, Malachi 3 verse 10, right? Talks about, you know, bring your tithes to the house of the Lord, and the Lord will open up the windows of heaven, right? So he was saying that why would God choose to say the windows of heaven and not the doors? You know, because the door is the usual go in and go out, you know, form of entry into a house or whatever, you know. So why would they choose to say windows and not doors? And he was saying that because it's an unusual thing. Do you understand? So when you bring your tithe to God, God opens unusual financial doors, windows rather, for you that are unexpected. You find that you when you look back, you're like, but when last was I really broke? You know, when last was I really broke? And I've done 1, 2, 3 and whatever. And it's not like maybe your salary increased or whatever. So it's that unusual provision, that supernatural provision that, you know, God brings into your life through tithe. Okay, let's move on.
Agreed. No, thank you.
Okay. Your relationship with God?
Very primary. The most important. What I would tell my younger self is that, like any other relationship, your relationship with God does not grow automatically. You're going to church and singing in the worship team does not grow your relationship with God. But it takes you being disciplined and in nurturing the relationship. And you know, there's a verse in the Bible that says, while you are those who are single, they are they are much more concerned about the things of the Lord. And T.D. Jakes would say their ministry is directly from themselves to God. But once you get married, it's from you through your spouse to God. So I would say to my young self, invest in this relationship. It will pay off later. You know, when I got married, my first dilemma was that I felt like I'm overcrowded. I felt like I missed my time with God, because it was at a time when I just discovered the intimacy, you know. I used to have prayers in my flat, do you remember? So at that year that I was preparing to go to get married, I was just praying with the girls, and I was so enjoying the intimacy that I had just found. And there I was getting married. And I would be trying to talk about it, like, Holy Spirit, I miss you. You know, I would long for that. So, and I have learned that through growing up and the struggles that we go through as we grow up, it is the foundation of the relationship that we have with God that sustains us. So I would tell my younger self that invest in that relationship. Kakhulukazi when you are still single. Go to all night prayers, camp. Hey, all of them. And read the word, pray. You are still single, lala wedwa. You can wake up on 12 episodes. Imagine you can't wake up. Like, why can't you wake up now? I don't you have to go to the sitting room now. Because you can't be like, hey, like, you can't do such when the other person needs to go back and wake up tomorrow and go to work. Now, even if the Holy Spirit would prompt you, you need to firstly excuse yourself from the bed and then go into the sitting room and be like, Lord, where am I? You know? But yeah, if you were to invest in the relationship with God while you are single, it will pay off.
When you're what?
When you are still single. When you are still single, it will pay off. And what I've noticed with our relationship with God, or the investment that we make with God and in our relationship with God, is that it always pays off. I was listening to somebody saying that there are certain seasons that you go through where literally when you go before the Lord, there's not much that you can utter, you know, but the prayers that you've already made will begin to carry you through. So invest in your relationship with God more than anything else, especially in your single years, as a young person, as a young female.
No, that's beautiful. I think for me, I was hoping you would say and you.
And you, my friend.
So for me, I think for me, like, I grew up in a pastoral house, right? And I got saved at a very young age, you know. And for me, I think growing up, my relationship with God was more because of my parents, because I'm a pastor's daughter, because I must go to church and whatever. It wasn't a personal investment, you know. So I think just like you, I would also just tell my younger self to start working on the relationship for yourself. You know, develop, because I think a lot of mistakes I've made in my life could have been avoided had I valued my relationship with God, had I valued or feared the Lord. You know, most of the things would have been really avoided, honestly. You know, so I think I would tell my younger self, or even tell my children, you know, when they come, that let this thing be for you. You're not forced to receive Christ as your Lord and Savior. You don't have to do it because your parents are Christians. Do it because you understand that I want to build a relationship with God so that I can live a life that pleases Him and not a life that pleases my parents, not a life that pleases the church, the community, and whatever. So for me, growing up, honestly speaking, it was more about where I come from,
it's an expectation.
You know, it's an expectation. You're expected to be at church. You expect to attend the prayer meetings. You expect to do this, which looking back, it has really given me the foundation I have now as a woman. You know, as a woman of God, it has really laid that good foundation. Because obviously, all those years, you can't just go and not be touched somewhere in your life. You know, so it has really given me that amazing foundation. But still, I feel like I'm only knowing God better now. I'm getting to really understand who God is, who He is in my life, and my relationship, you know, between my relationship with Him, father, daughter, you know, kind of a relationship. So okay, we're gonna go to the last one.
All right. And
life in general.
All right. Life in general. I would say to my younger self, life is precious. Just going to go through my notes so that I don't forget some things that I wrote. Life is precious. Precious. I look back. There are so many, yes, we're still young, but there are so many people that we grew up with that are no longer here. And you begin to ask yourself, Lord, why? Why am I still here? And it's because God's purpose for your life is greater. So I would say that we need to value life. Value life and live your life as an adventure each and every day. knock at every possible door that you can knock at. Pursue each and every possible dream. I will intertwine this with what we spoke about on relationships. Live your life. Explore. If it means you want to travel, travel. If you want to study, study. Pila, there's only one life that we have. And one day when you are gone, you will be remembered by the steps or the marks that you've made, the impact that you've made. So live your life. And starting from a young age, I actually think something that I wanted to tell you. I feel, it's just a feeling, that I sleepwalked most of my life because I was like, especially the pressure of being young. Marriage is a destination that will make all your dreams come true. Like life is gonna happen. And you sleepwalk through life, and God brings opportunities your way, And there were a lot of opportunities that God brought my way in music, in ministry, in studying, in travel, that I felt, but don't sleepwalk through life. Live your life to the fullest, because you do not know when will be your last. Be unapologetic about your purpose, and do not be willing to compromise anything when it comes to what you've been created for. And by the way, indaba yomshadi phela la, yingakho when we take vows we say,
manje you're married, then what?
So Mati, this other person is not bringing some holy power that will make you succeed. The person is coming, we are here for companionship, So I need to come in my full form, and he needs to come in his full form, and together we make life happen. And the marriage contract or the marriage covenant ends the day I exhale my last breath. When we get to heaven, God is going to ask, with the life I gave you, what did you do? What did you do with the life that I gave you? So you are beautiful. I would tell my younger self, you are beautiful. Fight the fear, Don't let fear hold you ransom and keep you captive from following your dreams. Fight self-esteem. When I grew up, I had acne, so I had low self-esteem. I thought I did not, I did not deserve. I thought I could not speak. I thought, pimples. But fight every kind of obstacle.
Were you an amazing speaker growing up, like you are now?
Like I wasn't. I was, because
were you?
I was. Okay. I was a great speaker, but I did not know. Okay. Because when I was growing up, my grandfather was a pastor, so he would always give us opportunities. And whenever I would be given an opportunity to speak, everybody would say, but I would not be bold enough to stand before people and speak. So I would say every obstacle that can come your way that seeks to stand between you and fulfilling your destiny, fight it with all that you can. Be it your past, be it where you grew up. I was sharing with you today when we were preparing that growing up, I always wished that I was born in my other friend's family because they had everything. And I thought, but I learned now, God's choices for me were perfect. God's choices in the family that he chose for me were perfect, and I am who I am today because I was socialized in that family. So I would say to my younger self, Pila, like if it means
but pila in the right context.
Yeah, pila in the right context within obviously the boundaries of until we are assuming that you are saved now, the Lord. But the pila and be unapologetic and don't compromise, don't put yourself on hold for Sophie's cut. And I would also tell my younger self, delayed gratification is a thing. The Bible calls it the fruit of the Spirit, patience. If you don't learn it earlier on, life will teach you. You will need to learn to wait for certain things. No matter how prayerful you are, no matter how ambitious you are, you will need to learn. Do not come easily and do not come instantly. So you would need to delay gratification for a bigger purpose. If it means that I need to focus on my books right now and be here while I delay myself of the gratification of being with friends, of being out there for the purpose of what I want to achieve, I need to do that.
Sure,
I've spoken
that's beautiful. Hey, yes. I think for me, as you'll have your closing words.
Yeah.
I think for me, like life in general, I think for me it's two things, which I believe I'm also still working on, right now. I think it's discipline and focus.
Yeah.
Those two things. I wish I had concentrated on those two things growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would have been fine in life.
Yeah.
I would have been fine in life because I feel like I lacked discipline in a lot of areas, including my relationship with God. I lacked discipline in my social life as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was easily influenced.
Mm-hmm.
I was easily going with the crowd, So I think I would teach my younger self, learn to be disciplined. If it means you must ask God for discipline, ask Him and say, Lord, I need discipline in this area. So I feel like I lacked that growing up, and just focus and knowing that this is the life I want. Like I would, to support what you were saying about dreaming, I feel like I started dreaming later on in my life, From a younger age, I wish I had dreamt of the kind of woman I wanted to be, of the kind of future I wanted to have, that way. Then I would now build the little disciplines that are needed in order for me to get to that dream or goal that I have. So I think that those two areas of my life, those two areas came later in my life, which I'm grateful for, that now I know the goal and I'm praying for little disciplines in between. Like I'm studying, I need discipline to do my school work. There's Yana, I need discipline to say, let's plan, let's get ready for whatever, for Yana and whatever, It's those little disciplines that bring, amazing results at the end of the day. So my younger self, be disciplined and be focused. Because life happens. People happen in your life. Friendships come, people come in your life to derail you, But if you have that discipline and that focus, I think you'll be good. So in closing, my friend, you'll have the last words?
Yeah, just to add 2 cents on the discipline. I'm also still learning the discipline. And I'm learning now. I also would tell my younger self on discipline, because I think if I was more disciplined and focused, it would have changed the choices I had made around my life. Because looking back, we are products of the choices we had made. And being here, right here where we are, making the choices that we are making now, they directly impact the future. So looking back, I would tell my younger self, watch your choices. They are not just, we are the only people we are the only creatures that God has created that He gave a will to. The Bible says, I place before you life and death, choose, So I would tell my younger self that you are not just making a decision. So, and I think if looking back, putting it all together, it all intertwines, because if we work on our relationship with God, our choices become better. They are guided by Him. And if we are more disciplined, we are able to execute whatever it is that the Lord, or whatever it is that we need to do in order for us to be who God wants us to be. But in closing, I would say to my younger self, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. You will get into some really, really hot messes. But God, in His majesty, because He gave us Jesus, God will take you out. And He is such a restorer. When He restores, there was nothing missing, nothing broken. So forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the mistakes that you have made. Learn from them. It's very important. Somebody once said that if you keep going over the same mistake, then you are a lunatic. It was T.D. Jakes. He says you can't keep falling into the very same fire. Learn, and then forgive yourself and move on.
That brings us to the end of our amazing session. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourself, and I hope that you've learned so much. And before we close, guys, click that subscribe button, like, share, leave a beautiful comment there. Tell us what you've learned also from this session as well. To my friend, thank you so much. Guys, you're going to be seeing more of her. But thank you so much, my friend, for coming over. And I believe that the people have learned, and and I hope that they take our lessons and use them in their own lives.
Amen.
So thank you, guys, and see you at our next episode.